Hey, what's up? I'm just tapping with another video, and it's another disclaimer that if the I'm on lower bandwidth, so if it went out at any point, I hope I land whatever thought that was. But I just want to say, thanks for anyone rocking with the channel, and especially like in some of the lives I was doing. This device won't let me do a live, but the interaction is way better on a live, like with people asking questions, and like the best way to interact with anyone in life, whether that's like you're in a class with a teacher or in or someone you're meeting or anything, whatever's occurring to your mind is the best standpoint to socialize and be harmonic with people, because that's what your experience is like. According to Arthur Avalon, speech goes through causation, but speech also goes through like three modes. It goes from causal to subtle to gross. That's the cause of something, the subtle existence of something, and then the blatant, gross, large expression of something. But then manifestation on this life, according to Arthur Avalon, is the same. It goes from spiritual to cosmic to terrestrial. That is, in cause to alignment to effect upon the earth. But I think at any one of those stages, it's actually existing at all those stages, because our position and sense of time is relative. But the cause of something is probably transcendent and beyond relative. So I was in one of these lives, and any question is good to go in a live. Are you gay? Are you straight? Did you shoot the sheriff and the deputy, or just the sheriff? I'm joking with that. But I neither shot the sheriff nor the deputy, for the record. But I might have shot off at the mouth. But someone would be on there like, hey, show your house. So it's like, hey mom, I'm just home with my friends today. Oh, who's that you got with you? Oh, it's just my internet friends. Oh, your internet friends? What are their names? I actually don't know their names. It's just I just know like their nicknames. What do they look like? I can't see them. Oh, they're invisible actually, but they're really with us on the internet, but they're invisible right now. And I'm just gonna show them our house, and like especially like where we keep all the cool stuff. My internet friends, my invisible internet friends. Oh, you have fun with your internet friends there, honey. I'm joking with that, but that I was just thinking that's some smart shit I was thinking, but anything is good if you have love. All is fair in love and war, but also all is valuable in love and in love and war. All has value if you have love in the first place, I think. So all things are hey, wait a minute. You guys know the show is coming through town? The show is coming through town, and y'all ain't been practicing? Ooh, y'all them bad kind of people. Y'all ain't been practicing in the show. Ooh, I'm about to tell your opportunity that you ain't been practicing. Because you ain't been practicing, and the show about to come through town. Y'all ain't been practicing. Oh, la we need to practice. I was thinking, but anything is good to go, and anything is an opportunity in life. But some things really are unfortunate though. So all is fair in love and war. All is love in love and war. But some things are unfortunate because we could and can do better. That's why they'd be unfortunate. So I was talking in the previous video to this one. So it's like sometimes, hey, I just want to let you know I'm the pilot. But I might have had a little bit. I might have had something today. So the autopilot took over, and so right now this is your captain speaking, and we're at 30,000 feet right now. It's gonna be a little bit of turbulence. Hey, this is just your captain, and we're still experiencing turbulence. But I'm also experiencing turbulence in my life. So I might have had something that had to do with the turbulence. So the autopilot is gonna be coming up right now, and so we're gonna be at our destination in about 5 or 10 minutes, give or take, depending on the autopilot. But the autopilot is gonna go ahead and land us. You ain't gotta worry too much. Okay. The autopilot has just landed us. So sometimes the video will land my own. The video will land my own plane for me when I'm making a point. But I started the other video talking about Gerald Celente, who would appear on the Alex Jones. So, and also as I was landing that last video, I was saying that I was appreciating some of the bravery of Alex Jones at different times, even after he was deplatformed from YouTube. And I would follow him on his own website, just for being clear. It's called Infowars.com. And I think that existed prior to his deplatforming, during it, and then after it, all the way through the pandemic. And I think that's still viable. I would see Gerald Celente there afterwards. And Gerald Celente, he had a program called, and also I landed that saying that sometimes like a football coach, a football like a captain of play, the people that write up the play, draw the plays and call the plays for the football team. Sometimes they can miss calls from the window, from whatever box or suite they look at, and that can have very heavy implications, like probably for their players and for the outcome of their season. And I think that Alex Jones had gotten into some contention about that, about maybe misappreciating or misreading an actual atrocity that involved children, and he was in a lot of public scrutiny for that. And I just want to say condolences to any families that were involved in that, and also the man Alex Jones, if he was traumatized by his own mistake there, and to have to hear the testimony of people that would be impacted by him. Should be candid with this. But he did make statements he did give us a counter narrative to the unfolding of the pandemic as it unfolded, and even as that case, I think, unfolded simultaneously. So that's a lot of working that he'd have to be doing, and a lot of praying that he had to do to be viable as a man through that, because that was difficult for all of us. But I wanted to actually honor him for what he did in that time, and it helped me have a different narrative. And I now so think that I wrote out that with more of a clarity, and I think I'm better off now for what he did during that time, and a lot of people that contribute to that show. But Gerald Salentino Less was on there, and he has his own broadcasting paper, I think, that would go way back, like to at least the 90s, talking about like what would be considered, for lack of a better word, for lack of a more egregious word, conspiracy theory, but sometimes actually accurate. That's what they had been. And he would say that all things are, you can appreciate life deeper, but then also all events that would take place, whether they're known or not, just in simply appreciating that all things are connected all the time. That's the standpoint to understand anything. All things are connected all the time. So I was making a broadcast a couple of days ago, and I was kind of improvising a little bit, but I actually made reference to a smoke shop on there. I was riffing on a smoke shop. That was prior to Halloween. That if you look at the video catalog, there's a few days prior to Halloween I made that. Then there was actually the unfolding of atrocity in Los Angeles, where influential community person, influence doesn't necessarily have to be on any side of the law, just an influential person in the Los Angeles region. His son was assassinated in front of a smoke shop. And I just wanted to say that video, that was prior to that unfolding. I don't know if anyone, I don't scrutinize the demographics of this video, of this channel. But I don't know or think that a lot of anyone watching this would necessarily be familiar with that, but it could be because it's the internet. And I just want to say that video, that was not actually in referencing, that had occurred prior to an actual significant assassination of the son of a significant person. And I saw a little bit of just a very small clip of that person's actual personality. And I know that all people are anybody on any side of anything could potentially have injured another person. Even if you had a chicken sandwich today, if you had a nice chicken sandwich today, that piece of chicken was something's baby, something's lover, something's parent, perhaps, something's descendant, could have been something's progenitor, or the lack of something's progenitor, so that you could enjoy that piece of chicken. So I'm just saying that no one is spotless, and no one has not necessarily hurt or been hurt. But I just want to say that actually he seemed like I've seen someone like him before. He seemed like I got player vibes off of him, like that he seemed like he'd be more concerned in like player stuff, just off of what the read that I got of him. So but it's unfortunate when any young male, any person at all, but especially a young sturdy man, is assassinated, because he could have reformed and turned into any amount of anything. And he also could have helped others reform, or had people that look like him or not look like him be improved in this world, be better for him. So when one person falls, we all suffer. When anyone suffers, we all suffer. But I just want to say that video, that was not referencing that, but it actually it coincided with that significantly. And I was, even in that video, I was riffing about like something in the air. And what I want to say is that I was thinking that like synchronicities are not necessary. They're profound and profound, more profound than you can enunciate, but not necessarily unique, because a lot of things are interconnected always. One thing is, like, if you can imagine, so like I was talking to a family member, is that like I live near a river. So even if you say the word river itself, that may be an oxymoron, or river, to say the word river. I think river is a little bit of an interesting word. That might be what's called a gerund. I think that might be called a gerund. Someone could correct me, but a gerund is like if you say a cloudy, I think, is it something to do with clouds, like a cloudy day. I think so. Cloud is a noun, but you use a noun as an adjective. a cloud is something like, if you really, you could almost say that it'd be deep to say, to really look again at the parts of speech, and you could really be, I think that's called semantics when you look at words in themselves, but it could actually be very deep if you look at semantics, because a cloud is like, it's a noun, a cloud, person, place, or thing, but it can also be an adjective, as in describing a day, like a cloudy day. So day is also a noun, but a cloudy day, you just use the word cloudy, cloud. E, I think, is a diminutive. Like when you put that E like that, it makes something sound small, or it like imbues it with another characteristic when you say E. So a cloudy day, you just went from a cloud being a noun to an adjective to describe yet another noun, but also both cloud and day itself would be more concise as a verb, because there's nothing singular or definitive about a day. You can appreciate a day being a day, but it's not a day if it were stuck like that. It'd be something different. So, but it also actually is stuck like that in a deeper sense. But it can be appreciated and experienced as both as a verb, a noun, and an adjective, maybe even an adverb. I wasn't thinking about adverb much, but so if you say river, that might actually be anything you would say out your mouth may actually be an oxymoron. Except for the word oxymoron might be the only thing that's not referring to an oxymoron. But most things, a lot of things can be an oxymoron, because like if you were, according to Osho, there's nothing settled or stayed about a river, because a river is, if anything, a river is flowing, probably damn near even in the wintertime. All of life is flowing, but also a river is flowing. So were you to define something, even to say river, that's egregious, because you're limiting it and you're settling it like that. But I think the same is true of people, like categorizing people as the medical establishment would do. But I think on a deeper level, that's to gain advantage with people, as to categorize that. But if you were to say a river is actually flowing. It's an experience of, it's something flowing. You can appreciate the characteristic of flowingness that's reminiscent of a river, but what the river is now is not what it had been when I started making this video at any point, and it will likely not be like that in the future. But what is stationary is the bank, so, or more so, is be the bank. So you could say the river bank of the Mississippi would be more significant. And what the river bank is an opportunity for the confluence. When different things come together, that's called a confluence. The experiences of our life, synchronicities of our life, are more of a confluence. So even that, I would make that statement in that video, and then something like that would happen. It's more like a confluence, is that these are the things at play. These are the real eddy, like a river is a lot about like eddies. So like the water will kind of eddy by the bank of the river. And a lot of, I think, of our experience and goings on, they're eddies like that, where the bank, the structure, the opportunity is more so settled and can be appreciated. And then the cycles that had yet fed the river are going to dissipate and yet feed the river. They're imminent and at play, and they can be appreciated, but not all entirely predicted. But I think a lot of our experiences are like that. So were we to come across or experience or be within the field of a synchronicity, is simply the eddying of the motion at play of that we appreciate as anything. But the actual structure. So you take back in the day, right, like cowboys, right? A lot of our notions of independence, I think, and we fancy a lot cowboys now. I think even the way the military might do, a lot of your military, your sturdy military would be from around Texas. If you had to say one state pound for pound, can you think of a state that's fed the military and its culture more than Texas? Likely. I can't specifically one state, but a lot of Texas is a lot about cowboy culture. Cowboys were a lot about free roaming, free ranging cowboy, that is. Fight anywhere, anyhow, anytime, anything, anywhere, any place. Be anywhere, any place, be viable. But yet cowboys were never too far away from a bank, right? Because what can you think about cowboys in the Wild West without bank robberies? So how far can you go in this life? How flowing can you be without also being near about a bank? You go anywhere, right? You about to do anything, right? James Bond, right? James Bond all over the world, right? On this one and that one for Queen and Country, right? Yeah, but how far did he get, or anyone get, before checking in with the bank? All them James Bond flicks had something to do with some form of finance, some kind of elite espionage banking business. So you ain't getting too far away from a bank for all the flowing stuff. Even the cowboys, they were flowing and this and that, free ranging, but not too far the hell away from a bank at any point. So like a lot of, I was saying that life is a lot about like flowing, but if you appreciate where the banks are, you can appreciate where the confluences will be. And if you appreciate that things are yet cyclical, try as you may, try as we may, try as we have, try as we will, try as we get to, try as we may not, try as we may could, may should have, may shouldn't have, may shouldn't, may yet, it's still within cycles. And so these cycles, they cannot be predicted, but they can be appreciated. And so if I were to give for you the future better than the oracle explaining their next year's tax to the tax person before they got around to make that. You can just say that if I wanted to appreciate the future verbatim, the future shall unfold as a function of cycles now at play. The cycles are imminent and at play, and they're still free for being at play, yet are at play and imminent while at play, and cyclical while imminent at play. Thereby, you may have, will have, should have, could have, would have, about to, get to, yet now, had been now, then now, and again can be, and shall be, and would be, and will be, none than now, as now, yet not the same as now, while now, and cyclical to differing degrees upon free will, initiative, and change, and incentive, and repercussion, and on. And so but some of these cycles are they're blatant, and they're recurring a lot, and they're inordinate now. Like for that one can happen to one can happen to one and all. And a lot of it's now it's so I'll say that, but I want to say that that's condolence that prior video had not been and that had not been in conscious reference to what had not yet unfold to that statement being presented in my channel. And I wanted to put that out there, because that could actually seem like, now if someone were to look at that content now, the days on the video can show that it was made prior to the assassination. It had been a Halloween assassination. Another interesting thing is that I made that video a couple of days prior to that. Then on the very day of Halloween, I was at a library, and because I had no place yet better to be during the day, like as I'm practicing music, and I had on civilian attire, and I go up to the librarian, and I say that, check out my costume. It's the wickedest costume. They're like, but wait, what's your costume? I'm like, my costume is nothing. But it also is the greatest person in the world before being at the wrong place at the right time, or the greatest person in the world before being at the wrong party or the right party at the wrong time, before an interview next week and not quite as sturdy around certain questions in the interview that have to do with certain tests like that, or the right person, no, the greatest person in the world at the right place at the wrong time, no, at the right party at the wrong time, and now boyfriend looking for somebody that had been at the right party at the wrong time, that met the right one at the wrong time, that had been the right one, but at the wrong time. So, but I had actually made a statement like that, and then that very night, there was an assassination of a person, and I don't know what the context is, but it would appear that they weren't they weren't at the optimal place, and it was also a smoke shop, after I had been riffing on smoke shops like that. So but I did want to say condolences, because the loss of any, like a lot of times, like during slavery, what was punishing about slavery to both Africans in Africa and Africans in America is fundamentally the atrocities upon the males, because they say that there's no intimacy without as nature goes. There's a biologist who has said that in nature, where a female derives no benefit, can perceive no benefit, there is no such interaction with a male, maybe also a female with a male. Where a female cannot appreciate a benefit, there is no such interaction. That's what biologists have said. And that has to do with the function of a female, in that there's no viability of the species outside of both the female gestation, but also the graces that the female would have in supporting and rearing the family and making life worth living for. Because what have we to live for without the beauty of females, gay or straight, anything? What is what is worth fighting and dying for, other than somehow next to females. And even if it was all about brotherhood, there's no brothers being born or being supported without females. But then also to the other side of that, there's no stability. There's no maybe conception, but also stability without a male. So if you upset the males in a society, if you take them out of a society, or you fetter them in a society, there's nothing of stability there. There's no household there. There's no economic viability without a stable home. There's no viability in the society, no peace, that is, without the home. So if you destabilize the male, you destabilize the home. And then that brother that we lost at that smoke shop, it's appreciated that his father was an influential member of the community in Los Angeles. And I'm saying influential, I'm not saying on any side of the law, but just influential. But he had also been incarcerated when that man was young. And so that man had a background around the streets, even as his father was high ranking in that type of lifestyle, but not necessarily there with him and not necessarily part of his development in that. So you could say that his lifestyle in the streets that may have placed him at that smoke shop, even as an adult, it had to do around the rigors and realities, but also the function of a destabilized home, and that is not growing up with his father, or if were he with his father or not, his father's also in some of the cycles that have to do with atrocities and economic disparities somewhere around black males. And so, like, recently I actually had some people that wanted to. I have a legal diagnosis that I'm entitled to benefits from it, ostensibly, because when I fill out an application, I have to fill out certain things that would make me entitled to different things, but I'm not content to receive anything of any support that I could otherwise do for myself. One, because the standpoint of that, you're either going up or down, and you're having momentum. Anything you do, you have momentum. So the first step of support may also be part of the first step of undoing a person's initiative, whether or not they had initiative receiving that support, if they could have otherwise continued to fend for themselves to any degree, is my standpoint. But then also there's a legacy in the United States of going back to, like, a lot of times people don't appreciate when they're dealing with satellite professions. So a lot of your social services, you could even say law enforcement, it really just keeps in the game locked in place, because law enforcement, they're not concerned with solving crimes. They're concerned with business as usual, going on as business as usual. You shall find that out the moment you're a person of color and you have an actual significant something egregious happening for you that you need support with, that you otherwise can't muster up within the limitations of your scope and parameters of freedom. And also you're being connected to other people as you're able to maintain your freedom in society, that you would require some form of recourse as some form of something has been breached. You as a person of color appreciate really truly how marginal you are, because that is the business of the day, is that marginal people had been and are yet marginal people, especially that being a black male in the United States, that may be your most marginal member, generally speaking. And then also, but then on the other side of that, say you have a female of a different ethnicity, would be your more valued member of society, also as business goes, because females they're more of consumers, but also a lot of the consumption that's done by females and not is on behalf of females, or to impress females, or to live up to females, or to present something to females, or to be something, because of a lot of economic activity specifically has to do with the value that a female is on a lot of different levels. So a female that would need support from law enforcement is exactly different to law enforcement. I've appreciated that for long, and I've had actual experiences that can attest to that with just a little bit of to any reasonable person. But a lot of professions are also like satellite to law enforcement, where they would actually be mandated reporters and or dovetail very seamlessly with law enforcement, and law enforcement would somewhat more answer to them. And so so when people are dealing with people, sometimes they don't know that they're also dealing with them people, and those people have a history, a legacy of having an interest in exerting influence on the homes of marginal people, but also their very interests are also bolstered by the disparities in the general economic disparities in society, such as to constitute and delineate a conflict of interest. A lot of your social services like that, and so But just if you appreciate it, a lot of I think that a lot of I wanted to say, I'm not sure I'm going a lot in bandwidth, but a lot, we lose a lot for bias. We really do lose a lot because like some people would say, like I think that racism is it's counterproductive because like a person would say you have people the world over, people are diverse, plants are diverse, animals are diverse, yet life is beautiful and life is life also with diverse members, but also that not without like diverse members, or that would be something different than life. But you cannot, you may not, you probably could shall not say that anyone is better than anyone anyhow, because none is viable without the other. Yes, we have our differences, but imagine this, listen to me. Now, currently, a lot of our history upon this earth has been arbitrary and motivated by the incentive for profit. But as we are now, can you imagine Africa, the continent, as an African or non-African? Can you imagine Africa with none of the amenities, none of the what's been afforded by the contributions of European society? Can you imagine? Can you imagine someone like from Africa back in the day? Like my father was from Africa, and he loved him. They loved them. The Beatles. They loved the Beatles in Africa. Can you imagine your upbringing in Africa? Would you have enjoyed it as much without the Beatles, or without nothing that has been contributed, without Ford and Chevy, without nothing that's been contributed by Americans, that is by European culture society, for all the horror of that? But now, as we have life now, can you imagine that without that? Can you imagine you wouldn't actually get to be who you are without the experience of different European people of any background, because you come across European people, you've benefited from them, you love them, you fought them, you are them, if you're honest, you are them. Also, America, can you imagine America without the contribution of African people and African American people? There may likely would not be something called America without the contributions of African people, but also the culture. There may not be something worth living for the same way there is now without the contributions of African culture. And the same for all cultures, is that we make life more worth living for by our differences and our similarities. We both resolve and transcend the one the other to make life what it is. And I really want to say that. But I think that a lot of people can be very racist. So I think that white people, they miss out on things when they defer to in-group bias, and they exclude people who are non-white or different. That may be exactly where they fall short. Also, people who are non-white, they can miss out by overlaying their attitudes of in-group privilege based on European standards upon non-white people, or when they think that white people are better or worse than they actually are, they can be injured like that too. And no one is all the way good or bad. We're all work in progress. Is life, because what would life be worth if it wasn't progressing? But I just wanted, that was on my mind a little bit too. But what we can really appreciate that a lot of black males specifically are being lost heinously and tragically and untimely. And we may play into a lot of our destruction, but we're greatly incentivized. How may you appreciate anything through incentive? Sometimes I think that the reason that they study rats, is actually because rats are smarter than people. I think that because at least rats are incentivized, have a more congruent incentive to survive than human beings, because the easiest thing to predict is somebody's comfortable ass. That's the easiest thing to predict, is the least of variation, the least of creativity, because yeah, you're gonna do exactly what's most comfortable, you SOB. But a rat, you give a rat a maze, right? You give a bank, like some form of an embankment, and where there are going to be different confluences, and you motivate them. You cut off all avenues to that rat. See if that rat doesn't come up with some shit you never could have. I got that from Zip with the Drip. He was actually he's been incarcerated in different institutions that may have had rats in them, and the man simply appreciates how rugged rats are, and how much daring and initiative they have if they didn't have to bite off their own damn foot to get into some food or get out of some where, and he has to grow the damn thing back through sheer willpower. If it had been like that, had been a rat. But also the rats may be more creative like that. So sometimes, not to call nobody a rat, but I'll be like, in where I live at, have like a bridge, right? You have like several bridges. One of them actually fell famously about 10 years ago in the Twin Cities area. A damn bridge fall like that, but it actually stands to, you think about how much, just go by a bridge, right? Like in the city, if you got, I lived in Memphis for a while. There's a West Memphis bridge into Arkansas. But in the Twin Cities, you have a lot of bridges that skirt St. Paul, Minneapolis, at least like 5 or more. You go there and see how much damn traffic doesn't go by there in 10 minutes. Heavy stuff, right? Trucks like that. Trucks carrying like trucks, buses, cars all day nonstop. Trucks, rigs, hot shots. If you know what the hell a hot shot is, all that kind of shit all day long like that. And you just got out there every damn once in a while with a clipboard just so you can check that shit out before you got to get off work at 5 o'clock. And you just got out there with the clipboard and shit, and you sure that shit's good to go like that and shit. No disrespect to people that were lost when that happened and how frightful that would be. But then you go. Sometimes you go chill on that bridge and shit, and you peek over there and be like, damn, they got graffiti right there. How in the they put graffiti right there, right? While y'all ass were sleeping and y'all were so sure that how shit works and doesn't work, all this shit you grew up reading about, all the newspapers, you read this many newspapers. Tell me how the F somebody got up there and did some graffiti right there for all the newspapers you done read. Because somebody will figure out anything if they got enough incentive. But rats have a lot of incentive, so I think they may actually be more of a case in point. And what would someone or something do with enough initiative? So we have different incentivized, and sometimes we don't appreciate how we're being incentivized against our own will, which may be the deepest form of atrocity and violence there is to incentivize someone against their best interest. But we have largely been like that in the United States, us black males, but then also so has the world over for sitting by and rocking with that. Because if you ain't got certain sturdy members to make life viable, like your labor force, your creativity, and just your loving people, or your people, because our love is also devalued greatly. Black males, our love is devalued. I would say that that's actually what makes profit is like something like shorting things. I made another video talking about that. Is that actually things are about the supply and demand. America is about business, baby, about big business, baby. Even love about big business, baby, in America, baby. But business is about supply and demand and shorting things. But us black males, I think our love is shorted in this society a lot. I'm projecting with that. I could be, but I think that we're undervalued. The YouTuber King Noble has said something about that. Is that most black males, and probably males too in general, not just black males, but black males specific, we are not valued unless we're stamped and authorized and sponsored under the auspices of something. So yes, if you're doing the fly shit, right, you can do the rock and roll shit. But unless you're up under a label, or unless you have the court of public approval, your shit ain't rocking like your shit ain't rocking until someone had said the shit had been rocking like that. Even though if the shit had or hadn't been rocking, it still ain't rocking till somebody has said that shit. And you also do the fly shit and shit. And that is one thing that you can't actually cheat. You can't fake the funk, and you can't look past the funk as style goes. But a lot of people like things that got a sponsorship on it, and so that's like what someone got to be stamped like you're nowadays, like, to be blatant about it, like certain social media might have like a check mark by it, but that's a deeper thing about like stamping things. But in general, us black males, I think our love is devalued, but the exception proves the rule. So you will have some studs like that, some people that get to wear the rock and roll and be studs for it. And I'm not saying they're less of studs, but a lot of us, not just black males, but males in general, a lot of males we're devalued, but that makes love more hard to come by, and so it makes it more profitable. But our love is devalued, so when we're lost untimely, a lot of love is lost like that. And even if you don't like black males, but you might like some black women, or like some women that have the right ingredients to be mixed and to be some fly sexy people. And you also need black males to get that done. So we're all out of a lot when we're missing us and losing us. But it's really these cycles that are at play. And I think that when these cycles are presented to us, we have an opportunity to have. We can't change. The YouTuber Game Spitter said that the bullshit has been going on. It had yet and will yet go on in any society all over the world. They've been fighting this whole time, and it ain't about to stop. It may wax and wane, is all you can hope for. But when these things do happen, when atrocities happen, or when there's an opportunity to make to look at something, you can either double down on it, you can look the other way and act like it's not happening, or act like it shouldn't happen, or hope that shouldn't happen, or you can have a conversation about it. I think that's the best thing. So the father of that man, that man who was lost to us, his father, coming from his background, he said, we're asking for prayers with this. We ask for condolences and prayers. And so I'm saying that Right now, I'm not a religious clergy, and I'm not living a lifestyle where I can be congruent and reference dogma and holy names and be congruent with that. But as a content creator, I can just simply begin or introduce a discussion, and I think that humane, honest discussion is the best way to look past things. So, see, these are some of my thoughts on that topic that coincided with the video that I made 2 days prior to it, where I was comically riffing on a smoke shop, because I had actually been at a smoke shop out the way, and there are like some dogs, like, you know, them beautiful dogs that look like wolves. They actually look more like wolves than wolves, and they got them eyes, like them crazy eyes. It's funny because actually a couple of days before that, a week before that, I was doing me another one. So a week before that, right? A week before that, I was doing me a mission to get some supplies for a vehicle. And when that happened, there had been yet another, the day I'm doing that. I'm not sure if it was prior to the day or the same. I think it might have been the same day. I normally don't go for a vehicle shop for nothing, not the least of which in the last 3 or 4 months, as I haven't been having a vehicle. And then the last few months before that, I wouldn't have me a vehicle. And I actually get up and go out to a actual a shop, a vehicle shop. It had been, I think that was the day of it, or the day. I'm having a real reason to go out to it, because I'm trying to do me like a battery. I'm trying to tie the nose of a battery, but I had missed this very small screw that you put under, like a lug that you put under the screw, and it comes up, and it's you can't otherwise fasten that screw to the nose of the battery terminal. So I went on a mission for that specific damn piece, and I wouldn't have had anything other to do than that. But I wouldn't have got to have a reason other to do it than that when I needed it that time like that, because I'm getting on to having back a vehicle somehow, some way. And no less, another significant, influential person, not necessarily inside the law, was assassinated in another city, famously, while attending, like, or working on a vehicle, the same type of place where I'd be looking for that day. And it just go to show you that a lot of things are more than a synchronous, and happening together just because of the whatever. However, we have an embankment in a situation for like the general infrastructure, but then also maybe the digital infrastructure is part of that now, and the different algorithms of what we consume and what we offer and what we are and what we do and what we've been through all going on together like that, and the eddy effect of that to have real actual synchronicities like that. But I'm not claiming anything of omniscience or of special affinity for timing with that, other than what I've enunciated a lot on this, and that the best way to appreciate timing is that to be open-minded, to appreciate that we don't have what we think of as a linear, that what we exist as is not that arbitrary and straightforward as what we have for a clock. Yet it's actually more exact than what we have for a clock. A clock would be less exact than reality, because it's a human artifice, but reality is yet more profound and exact than even that, being a human being. But it's just not the same as what we have as good to go the same way all day, every day, forever, like that, without somehow being forever, is like what clocks are. But I wanted to say that one thing that also, another thing that I was appreciating, that I think that sometimes if you've ever had someone that you can't get past, right? If you've ever had someone in your life that you fell in love with, that you think you fell in love with, but you can't get past that person. You can't get past that person that had once how meant something somehow to you, right? I think that might be because you initiated something with them. Something was initiated between you. Like for me, that was in the 90s. I grew up in the 90s, and when I moved from the place of my childhood, that was a year of Genuine, the opponent. The song that's ever moved me romantically the most was the song "Just Ride It, My Pony" by Genuine, and that's about dancing. And at that time, I danced a little bit as a kid, and some of the people that I danced with, they would always be on my mind for life. But I think that one of the most creative thing that we can do, the most creative thing we can do is pray and worship, because life comes from what is prayerful and what is worshiped and worshipful, is like that. But I think that I made another video about this gas station where I'm at around here, and you can go and take you a shower. You have 4 hours on your hands in a shower for 18 hours, for $18, not 18 hours. That's a little bit a lot, but 4 hours no less on your hands in a shower room like that. What the hell kind of righteous thing can you do for 4 hours in a shower with and without company? What can you do for 4 hours? One might be pray, but what can you do even where that's actually a part of prayer, and even more than prayer, as in worship, that is dance. You can dance for 4 hours if you had to in some of these places. But dancing, it's I think that the most creative thing we do in life is pray and worship, and that it can be both in dancing. And I think it's actually better than being stationary like that, because they say families that pray together stay together. But what about families that run together, baby? I can tell people, I can tell certain things about people. I haven't had a lot of relationships on my hand, but I've seen a hell of a lot of them where I'm at. I always see everywhere I go, every day of my life, every damn day, I see this many I see this many couples, right? Every day I see couples, right? It's funny because I grew up in the Southwest, and we had these certain kind of trees. I'll quiz anyone. Does anybody know what kind of tree will give you inordinate swaths of box elder bugs? You have to have a pretty advanced. I don't. I think so. You have to be seasoned to know what the hell name a box elder means. Probably way after you've been experiencing them. But if you know what would bring on box elder bugs, I grew up around them, and they're always stuck together in love like that, right? They're actually made. It's actually kind of deep. If you think about, like, you know that there's certain things that you can't enunciate unless you've experienced them. But even while you're experiencing them, they're deep. They're beautiful. That's a lot of like what lovemaking is. But you don't have to necessarily get all the way around to what's called lovemaking to have that kind of feeling like that. But it looks like when the box elder bugs are stuck together, they mate backwards. It's funny, right? So you read the Kama Sutra, this and that, right? You about this and that, right? You've been in this many this, you watched this many, you thought about this, you did this many, did right. But did you ever do that backwards? So how may two walk together though they be on one accord? How may two walk backwards and forwards at the same time together? Damn it, lest they be on one accord. One of them's having to drag it damn feet while they're so walking together, but not exactly going backward the same. But one going forward, one going back, and they're still somehow moving together to drag the feet back. That's how what you know about that. Them box elder bugs know about that. But that's like very deep intimacy. But I've been seeing that my whole life. Like in the I don't see as many box elder bugs where I'm at, but I did get to see them in the last couple of years. But normally I'll go for this many years not seeing no box elder bug nowhere, but then I go to a certain base and they're all over there because they got that kind of tree there. But but I see a lot of couples stuck together, like they be stuck together like that. The couple be stuck together like that. But a lot of them don't look that much in love. But when they're in love, damn it, I ain't got nothing to say about no couple. But the way you'd really know people are in love is because how many two walk together, they'll be on one accord. So I came back from the state fair this summer and I saw a real love. It was like a guy, he was like maybe probably like late 50s, and he had this girlfriend with him. I could tell by how different they were that they had to meet some unique way, like a dating site or something. But that woman was, so like you say head over heels, right? What does head over heels mean? Head over heels mean two box elder bugs mating while one had been walking backwards and one walking forward, and then they take turns and walk the other direction forward like that, have been mating backward like the baby did. But then sometimes people actually, they're that much head over heels that you can see it, but they look that different. They're like, damn, real love is really kind of strange. Real love is some strange thing. You see real love, it's strange like that. How these two would be together, but also that much together while being that much of these two had been real love like that. But then I seen another couple like that, and I could damn well tell they were in love. I never really seen two people walk together like that. The way that they walk together is beautiful when people are actually in love. I've seen love at least twice with those two couples. But then that couple, I later seen them running together. So I'll be one to say that families that stay together, families that pray together stay together, and families that have not yet stayed together run together. But I do think that like I a little bit lost that train of thought with that, so I guess I'll land that there. But sometimes but I think that when you have someone that you can't look past, right? It's not the prettiest person that the one that got away, right? What is the one that got away? It's not necessarily the prettiest person you ever met, the person that liked you the most that you ever met, even the person you got to have the best experience with. I think it's someone that you initiated something with that's very, very deep. And the deepest I can think would be dancing. So just think about whoever you can't get past in your life. Did you not start some form of dancing with that person? Did you not dance somehow a little bit with that person to really have something that would yet to be completed like that? And that is the most creative thing. That is a dance of some kind. But then like that, I think that there's some, like when you think about what chemistry is, I think that like if you think, they say that it's appreciated in a lot of different faiths the world over, is that life itself started as something massive. It's interesting. I watched a video called there's a video online by someone named Young Pharaoh, and he was saying that when you say God, what you're likely saying is a form of creative creativity, intelligence. And it's not all the way good. It's not all the way good like that, because we so much has been experienced of atrocity, of loving and suffering and fearing and dying and trying and mayhem and maiming and sustaining and birthing and loving and cherishing and destroying and destruction, creation, destruction, and maintenance in the finest sense, according to the Eastern thought. And that's what he said. And it ain't all the way been good, but it's consciousness like that is what he would appreciate. Creativity in the first place is what you're calling God. But then prior to me hearing that, I had referenced Arthur Avalon, and that one of the psalm name that he would know is something called Chit Gana. Chid is consciousness and Ghana is greatness. I think that can either be both small and grand, and the small is no less for being small because it could be potent, if anything, and condensed and concentrated. It will be maybe even greater in a smaller form. But such as this existence it is in unity always and at once, yet diverse and viable through its diversity. But what would give you diversity from unity and maybe lead back into unity from diversity would be some form of disturbance, actually, like some form of, like, one time I was near a park, and there's a older person, and they were there with like their grandchild, and it's like they were kind of like, sometimes you see older people and they look very dignified but almost a little bit bored by their own beautiful progeny and being somewhere, because they're so, there's only, so when you're that respectful, when you're that tactful, there's only so many ways you can walk in a straight line and not be disrespecting nothing and also be tolerating your loved one. So they're actually very like kind of like just like almost like maybe it's the most inconspicuous yet conspicuous for being inconspicuous NPC would actually be like a grandparent attending their grandchild, but yet the most creative and the most potent and formidable would also be the wisdom and the seasoning of a grandparent. And just to see them, like, them little horses that are fixed like that, the grandparent was like with their grandson like that, and then all of a sudden the grandparent was like, man, fuck that, and then they push that little horse and it's going. So if you think about all of life being unity, it's give and take. It's give within unity, take within unity, but give and take within unity. Just like that horse, like that. There's only so many ways that horse can move like that, but you ain't never about to do. You could not anticipate the reverberations of where that horse is going to be at any point like that, even as fixed as it, just with that amount of firmness, but somehow that amount of give with whatever the sophistication of the actual randomness of whatever impulse that'd be to disturb that. You could say that maybe it never actually finds its way back to equilibrium, even though as it seems to stay stable, it's still somehow reverberating like that, because things don't change once they're at play, imminent. But when that grandparent does that, that's almost like they would say like life started from some form of void. There's a disturbance from complete equipoise, complete harmony, complete love, complete grace. Might actually get bored with that shit, man. Fuck that. Now so that might actually be like a shriek. So this life may have started with a shriek. I was blessed recently to be somewhere where I wouldn't otherwise anticipate to be without being invited to be there. And I was actually stood up when I was there, but I was stood up to discover an actual ceremony upon a cliff face, or like a cliff face of a river, a chanting. And it was a real actual chanting from indigenous members, indigenous ceremony upon an ancient bank, a river bank face like that. The real people of the land at a significant juncture in significant prominence in the land, and I couldn't see where it was coming from, but I could just hear them. And then at the end of it, a lady let out like a shriek. It sounded like a cackle. That actually might have been real creativity. That might have been the universe itself right there. You have the beauty of harmony, but nothing's actually stable. So life may have been whatever the original state might have been. It might have been something. The closest I can imagine this existence in its primal state is the actual chanting ceremony of native elders singing like that. That's the manhood of that, the vigor of that, but also the play within that, and the ceaselessness with that, the ceaseless improvisation and change and creativity and beauty, equipoise within activity and activity within equipoise is like that. But then what was after that, and what comes back to that? Some crazy shriek like that. That might be the most violent thing that you can imagine, is that whatever would disturb that form of harmony, but yet also brilliant and creative to disturb that and lead all the way around back to that, to have more of lessons and learning from that. So that person was saying that life is a lot like that, like consciousness in the first place, massive consciousness. I a little bit digress with that again, but if you think about that, so however this universe came apart, or was disturbed, whatever you would appreciate of chemistry in another person, or what you have a proclivity for, that may be some function and mode of the way that this existence has came apart, and how it may yet soon come back together. So what would make sense to you, what would mean nothing more to you than whatever it is that means whatever it is to you. And that might be a function of your real reciprocity in this life, in the vicinities of this life, in the experiences of this life, and the people that make up all of those. That whatever would speak to you, it may have to do with what would, how things have been disturbed and may be resolved and have meaning to you. So this person on here was saying that, I was listening to a video, and I think that, like, a lot of people, they have nothing better to do than to tell people what to do with what is already theirs. But people will have like different videos about like talking about, they'll proceed and assume to deign to talk to another person about what to do with their potency as a person in creativity and manner of relating to other people. But it's not all worthless, and the exception proves the rule. So you had someone talking on there about how if you conserve your creativity, your potence, if you if you would develop your potence to how you would go about that, you may have more and more experiences unfold for you that are deeper than that have to do with things that you left behind, but still meant something to you, and still can mean something to you when you're in your real creativity and your real potence. Your real potence may draw back that which has most meaning to you, which is part of how you have come to be. It may come to be, and so I think that, so those are just some thoughts I had like on that, and I'll just leave that for what it is. But I still think it's about dancing, and the best thing is just is being creative. And if you call yourself this and that, but you don't also do this and that goes with this and that, then had you really been this and that? Because so some people would say this is how you hold an instrument, like this. No, that's how you hold an instrument for the first however many seconds or minute, because the way that you know a master to anyone else is, the master is simply the person who is comfortable, not too comfortable, not uncomfortable, but comfortable. But life is ceaseless change, so comfort is also ceaseless change. That's actually how you manipulate an instrument, but that's also how you practice an instrument. And you can practice an instrument so long, so much of improvising, so many positions, until you do need to rest. But it gotta be all day, every day, if it's gonna be all day, every day. So because you rest that instrument, don't mean you can't also practice the instrument that is you. That is your communication, your singing, your writing. Now I gotta actually work up on my writing, because I've been your anything else, but a lot of anything else is also gonna have to do with your feet. So it really gotta be the whole show if it's gonna be show business. That is at least sing, dance, and play an instrument, and get on the lyrical time and writing time, I think. And maybe even mess around with the odd beat machine as we're in a digital age, or something similar along that line, if it had really been show business. So y'all ain't been practicing? Ooh, y'all ain't been practicing? But it had been, the show was gonna come through. You know the show gonna come through, and you ain't been practicing? Ooh, I'm gonna tell your opportunity that you ain't been practicing. Y'all them bad kind of people. Y'all show them bad kind of people. Ain't been practicing and knowing the show about to come through. So I'm saying it's about show business, and I'm trying to be me, sing, dance, play an instrument, and maybe even hit the start button on a few odd beat machine. And beat machines been cool since beat machines been beat machines. I'll say that one, a word to the wise, just to be all the way above board and show where I'm coming from. They ain't know where I'm coming from, but I let them know where I'm coming from, so they can't say they ain't know where I have been coming from. On the doo-wop, baby. We out here on the doo-wop, baby. And even the guitar, man, and the IRA thing, and all the whole thing, man. And we've been trying to practice too, man. But y'all been both ain't been practicing anymore. I for trying to tell y'all, man. I'm trying to tell y'all, man.